Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our December 2023 market update. It's myself, Ron Cole, Roberto, Argenio, and John Sullivan here in St Albans in our offices in Victoria Street. First question, Rob, to yourself. It's been a very interesting November. Tell me a little bit about market appraisal levels and what's going on with them in November.
Well, Ron, generally, it's pleasing to see there's still a very good demand. We're being very popular as agents, being called out to a lot of valuations locally. In actual fact, looking at some of the figures, in the month of November, we've produced or been invited to value 13% more houses than we did in October.
Wow.
Which is a great sign of appetite out there from local sellers wishing to move. Looking back to this time last year, 2022, we're actually seeing an increase of 5% more valuations year on year. So there's definitely a good appetite to move home in St Albans.
That's really interesting, Rob. So we've had a really, really busy month for market appraisals in November. Let's hope that continues into December, but it's showing a really good trend. John.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask a similar question to yourself, just based around our applicant numbers for November, because they seem to have been a bit off the charts as well.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, traditionally October, November, it's our autumn market. It's a busy time of the year, but as you get towards the end of the year, it does sort of trail off a bit. We haven't seen that at all. In fact, we've seen a 15% increase on applicant registration, which is fantastic.
Kind of applicants, John, are we looking at new first-time buyers entering market, people with homes to sell, all sorts of different areas, or what's the general consensus there?
It's really interesting because it is a mix of pretty much everyone we're working with currently. First-time buyers are come back into the market. I think now with inflation dropping off and interest rates coming down slightly, we are seeing an appetite now for buyers entering into the market from a first-time perspective. Equally, people again looking at good schools, properties there seem to be doing very, very well again, and there seems to be a really good appetite for people looking towards a good school catchment.
Okay, fair enough. Rob, yourself, I think we have seen some headlines to say that there is a bit more supply this year. I'm not sure I see it. What's your thoughts?
I think certainly a lot of the valuations that we've been invited out to during the course of this month, last month, are actually coming to market. But I think the choice broadly remains similar. Not a huge amount of choice out there for prospective buyers. However, quite interestingly, looking at the market in a slightly more focused view, between the sort of £700,000 and £900,000 bracket, there seems to be a bigger choice for buyers. Certainly looking around, as John alluded to earlier, the school catchment areas, Beaumont and Oakwood, there's been a very good supply of good quality housing stock available to buy and still is available to buy. We've certainly had some great success stories over the last 3 or 4 months, having sold several properties between kind of 1.1, 1.4 million range, and in most cases having more than one interested party. So generally I think the choice remains broadly the same, but there are and continues to be those lovely hotspots in St Albans that people wish to purchase in.
When I've looked, in the last couple of months at what the market in 2023's looked like, I'll draw a comparison back to 2019, probably not so much about 2020, the sort of pandemic area. So I see a lot of comparison to 2019. John, what about yourself?
Really good point, isn't it? I mean, when we were looking at the analysis and comparison over the last couple of years, the pandemic years were bubble territory. There was a huge amount of financial stimulus pumped into the economy that created an artificial bubble, if you like. And 2019 is a really good comparison because it was a solid market. It was a good market to work in, and I think we are looking at a very similar market today. But interestingly, sales numbers over the same period, if we look at a comparison to 2019, actually 2% up year on year, which it's impressive.
That is, and I think that's looked at nationally as well. I've seen quite a lot of information from agents through the end of November to say they've had absolutely stonking Novembers, months they didn't expect. In fact, one colleague from the Northamptonshire part of the world, it's their busiest November in 15 years. So it's saying there's lots of activity in market, which leads me on perfectly to what we've got coming up on December the 30th, which is our annual launch, which we all absolutely love, and it gets an amazing amount of traction for our vendors and gets lots and lots of purchasers and new applicants out there looking at property. Rob, give me just a little hint, a little bit of flavour of what's coming in this year's launch.
Well, it's very exciting times as we look to close the calendar year with our new year property launch. The numbers are starting to build up. We've got a beautiful choice of properties that we are due to go live with on the 30th of December, ready for that January rush. Certainly, if we look back on the one that we've recently done this January, that some of the results for our clients have been absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure John will probably like to share a little bit of information about that. But yes, watch this space, 30th of December. We've got our new year property launch with some delectable delights due to launch.
John, have we got a little sneaky idea of the type of property we have?
Yeah, it's a mix of everything, and it is an exciting time, as Rob just mentioned. I mean, looking at the launch last year, we went into the new year sort of a bit of uncertain period, really, and I think we can all agree that the results from our Christmas and New Year launch, it blew us all away, really, in terms of response. I think this year we're going into a more of a steady market, a more of a known quantity, and yeah, look, we expect a really good response from it. But we've got some lovely listings to go live, and it's a combination of new properties and also properties that are going to be reduced as well. So it's a bit of a combination of property, but there's some lovely family homes that are coming up in the area, certainly around sort of the Beaumont area and Stags locations, and there's also a number of city centre properties as well that are coming to market.
It sounds better this year than it did last year. So also, I'd like to just add on to the end of our market update is we'll obviously be back in January to update further. But if any of our vendors, any of our clients are catching up with us on this market update and want to talk to us further about what this launch looks like and how they could get their property in there, we'd love to come and visit. We'd love to talk further. Any of our applicants want a little bit of an idea what's coming up? We won't tell you anything. But our upcoming vendors, we'd love to talk to you. So look, from the team here at Collinson Hall, have a wonderful December, have a wonderful Christmas, and we look forward to catching up with you just after the New Year launch.